Shall we begin? Yep, we shall begin. So, this is going to be my vlog review of Death Note, the movie by Netflix. So, a lot of people were really nervous about this movie, and it's due to certain like whitewashing controversy as well as some deviations from the source material, which I'll touch upon in a bit. So, Death Note, the movie by Netflix, it's a movie that's based on the anime or the manga, if you prefer, and I've seen the anime twice, and it's a great show. If you haven't seen that show yet, I would suggest checking that out. If you have a choice between the movie or the show, I would suggest watching the show because that's on Netflix too, and it is an excellent show. And what's great about the show is that it plays around with morality, and it's about like, is this the right thing to do to like rid the world of criminals and stuff? First off, the main character is Light, and he receives a notebook that drops from the ground, and essentially he sees that the notebook is a way to kill off people if you write their names in it, and they will die within like 40 seconds of a heart attack in the show, but not the movie. And Light sees this as an opportunity to use it to go on like a crusade as like a vigilante type guy who will like is trying to rid the world of sin, of criminals, of bad evildoers. So, and essentially he becomes like the god of the new world. And then you have the character L, who is essentially like the Sherlock Holmes in that show, and these two are very much clashing against each other. L's essentially trying to stop him from committing all these murders. So what's great about the show is that you have like a Sherlock Holmes Moriarty scenario where it's like Light versus L or Batman versus Joker. But in terms of Light and L, you have like two intellectual minds going at each other, and you don't know who's going to come out on top. So the show is fantastic. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. But anyway, let's get to the movie. Now, so the good news about the movie is that it's not terrible, but the bad news about it is that it's not all that great either. And I'll touch on a few aspects here. First off, let's talk about Light in this movie. Light's character is kind of different from the show, like very drastically different. In the show, Light is essentially like a guy that's willing to rid the world of criminals and lose a bit of his own humanity while doing it. And he not only kills off the criminals, he also goes after like law enforcement that try to stop him in any way. Because it's like you're disrupting the rule of Kira, so you better obey or you will get axed off. And in the movie, that does not happen. He doesn't want to kill the law enforcement, and this is kind of a character change that I'm not exactly for, because it makes the character a little less interesting than he was in the show, because in the show he was like very complex, and you kind of question that he's doing the right thing because of it. It makes the show intriguing. It's more engaging because of it, because you are looking through this guy. So then there's the character of Ryuk in the show. Now, Ryuk is a Shinigami, and great casting choice in the movie. Willem Dafoe like has the perfect voice. It's very like snake-like, very slithery. It really fits the character of Ryuk incredibly well. And the character of Ryuk in the movie is done for the most part okay-ish. In the show, he was a lot more interesting than the movie. In the movie, this is kind of a character that is very much encouraging Light to use the Death Note. And in the show, he basically just drops the notebook and it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything to you. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to aid you. I'm just going to see what you do with it. And that kind of made him more interesting because he wasn't exactly a good or bad guy. Whereas in this one, it's very clear that it's like, yeah, do it. I want to see you do it. So, yeah, I'm not exactly like, I kind of like the other Ryuk a little bit better in the show. So now we have the character of L, and L is portrayed by not an Asian actor this time by someone who's black, which the actor in this movie actually does a pretty decent job of replicating L's behavior. He has the same mannerisms as him. He like sits up like this when he's like sitting on a chair. He has like both his feet up here, and he got his mannerisms down pretty well. And I do think it's probably like the best representation of a character from a previous source material in this movie is L. I think they got that character done pretty decently. So there's also another character, Mia, in this movie. In the show, it was named Misa, but this is Mia. I almost consider Mia in the movie kind of a new character. Like it's like kind of inspired by Misa, but not like, but it's a totally different character in my opinion. Mia is essentially the girlfriend of Light in this movie, and she knows that he uses the Death Note. And what's kind of interesting is that they're both working together on this, and Mia's actually the one that's more willing to kill the cops in this movie than Light is, which, yeah, again, I already mentioned that Light not being willing to kill the law enforcement makes him a little less interesting, but anyway. But the acting in this movie, it was okay. It's not amazing acting by any means. I mean, the guy who plays L is pretty good, and the actress that played Mia's decent. The actor that plays Light, he was okay. He wasn't amazing in the movie, but I don't really blame him. It's more the writing that is given to him. Like it's okay. It just could have been a lot better if he was given a better character to work with. Okay, the ending to the movie. It kind of ends on a cliffhanger. It doesn't really end the movie. It just stops, and that is a little bit like that's not exactly all that great. I think they could have had like a self-contained movie within it, because one thing I don't really appreciate in like a movie in a franchise, like a first movie in a franchise, is if they like they're trying to set up a sequel and they're trying to have that cliffhanger ending, and sometimes that can backfire on you, because it's like, what if the movie doesn't do very well and you might end up with just one movie, and that can be kind of an issue with it. And yeah, they have this ending which it pretty much just stops. I think they really could have done something a little different with the ending in it. I think they could have made it more self-contained, and that would have and you can leave enough possibility for a sequel, not necessarily not leave it on a cliffhanger, just have it self-contained, but leave enough possibility for a sequel. So overall, my thoughts on the movie is that it's okay, it's not amazing, but I will suggest watching the anime show if you are not into Death Note yet. And if you're interested in the movie, I say maybe see it once. And honestly, I don't really have a huge desire to see it again. It was mostly okay. It's not amazing. I'm probably going to give the movie a 6 out of 10. It gets a few points because L is portrayed pretty decently, and they got a good actor to play Ryuk. But other than that, I would say only watch it once if you're interested at all. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the movie. See you guys next time.